Macbeth is a tragedy by William Shakespeare, where a Scottish soldier, Macbeth, and his friend Banquo are met by three witches. Upon meeting these three witches, they are given prophecies that further drives their greed for power. From hereafter, Macbeth's actions further drive him towards a path of darkness, insanity, and despair as he recklessly seeks to enthrone himself. But I'm sure that's all too complicated to understand. So let me simplify that to something that's more relatable and easier to understand. Food and food-related stuff, like stuff they eat on a daily basis.
Macbeth has the morals of bread. One is dough before it is incinerated to perfection, the succulence of it, soft giving, the unprecedented desire for I to caress and dive face first into its safe haven. I want to throne upon it. I claim to pin slap it. Laying within its grasp would be a gift from the gods and goddesses of Valhalla. Yet, I want to poke at it like the dead carcass it is. Now, if dough is left to burn, it will lose its glory, and this is exactly what happened to Macbeth. At the start of the play, Macbeth was a loyal soldier that kept his ambitions in check. He was kind of like sifted flour flowing with the equivalents of the Sahara Desert. Once he heard the prophecy that he is going to become king, the flour was no longer being sifted. Macbeth's desire for power is like throwing eggs into a mixing bowl without cracking them. These irrational decisions caused him to take the crown by force. This eventually led Macbeth's brain transforming into a mangled concoction of unsifted flour and uncracked eggs, which are then thrown into the oven. Like the failed bread, Macbeth went insane. Macbeth, like the mismade dough, crumbles, causing the inevitable death of others. At first, Lady Macbeth was like a crunchy, sharp nacho chip that frightens people with sharp edges. People did not look down at her because of her sharpness, and just like a nacho chip, she could kill people if she was determined. Yes, nacho chips can kill people by stabbing them in their gums. I once got a huge gap between my front teeth because of that. No one wants to mess with Lady Macbeth. Thankfully, Lady Macbeth dips herself deep into salsa of guilt before becoming the queen. She starts sleepwalking and hallucinating. Blood stains on her hands. Blood stains symbolize all the immoral acts that she and Macbeth have committed, and seeing them suggests that she is suffering from her own overwhelming guilt. The salsa of guilt eventually turns herself into a weak, soggy nacho chip that is no longer hard and sharp anymore. She becomes fragile and soft, which is one of the feminine qualities according to Macbeth. Malcolm is strategic, just like an egg. When Duncan was killed, Malcolm fled to England because he knew he would have a target on his back. When Macduff's family was killed, he met up with Malcolm and was ready to join the army against Macbeth. At first, Malcolm did not trust Macduff because he could have been a spy for Macbeth. Malcolm tested Macduff's loyalty by repeatedly degrading himself. Malcolm made himself look worse than Macbeth to check Macduff's intention. Malcolm has 400 IQ. His character can be compared to an egg, but eggs are very strategic food. There are many ways of cracking an egg and eating an egg. You could have it hard-boiled, soft-boiled, scrambled, sunny-side up, and many more. Also, there are many ways of cracking eggshells. The Russian way, the spooning way, the cracking on head way, and of course, the place the egg in vinegar for hours to make the eggshell go soft so that you can eat the shell two-way. Four major themes in the play are kingship, masculinity/femininity, fate versus free will, and paradox. Kingship is like a buffet. There are a variety of different kingships in play. For example, King Duncan is portrayed as a godly king. Macduff refers to him as the Lord's anointed temple, which is a metaphor comparing Duncan with a temple that has been chosen by God. In a buffet restaurant, barbecue ribs are praised by people, and when they run out, kids will be devastated and whine and cause all the chaos in the restaurant. Likewise, upon the murder of Duncan, Ross observes a dark night sky in the middle of the day and other unusual phenomenon, causing chaos within the kingdom. When Macbeth becomes the king, he is like pork belly in a buffet restaurant. Just like how pork bellies murder your intestine, Macbeth kills people. Also, similar to Macbeth's tyrannical kingship, pork belly will force you to eat other foods less because they will make you full quickly. The play marks the theme of femininity/masculinity, pronouncedly by indirectly interpreting and defining womanhood. Femininity is like a pomegranate. It is intricately bold and beautiful, and the pomegranate is a symbol of marriage and life in Greek mythology. The play beautifies women by interpreting femininity as some beautiful and sweet thing. For instance, in the play, Lady Macbeth prays to the evil spirits to unsex her and make her cruel, referring to woman's character as gentle and uncruel, while man's character as tough and cruel. Also, a pomegranate has a hard outer layer, signifying bearing for the seeds inside. Lady Macbeth refers to Macbeth's character as milk of human kindness, suggesting womanhood by representing it with milk, which is a symbol of care, kindness, and nurturing for the offspring. Just like the protective outer layer of a pomegranate, masculinity is like ice, very cold. When Macduff hears that his family has been murdered, Malcolm tells him to dispute it like a man, or basically deal with it like a man. In the play, the three witches are instruments of fate. If the three witches had not given Macbeth the prophecy that he would become king, would he have killed King Duncan? Macbeth was moral in the beginning, but his ambitions slowly started to take over when the witches told him the prophecy. Eventually, his ambitions succumbed to his morals. Therefore, fate versus free will is like a menu. You can choose what you want to eat, but at the same time, are you really choosing? The restaurant makes the menu, so in the end, who is really choosing their fate? The concept of good is bad and bad is good appears many times throughout the play and is introduced during the first scenes of Macbeth. During the first scenes of the play, the three witches bring up the concept by saying, fair is foul and foul is bad. Fair means good and foul means bad. Shakespeare uses juxtaposition to convey that good appearances can be bad and bad appearances can be good. Chanting, fair is foul and foul is fair, the three witches are foreshadowing that Macbeth, who looks to be loyal from Duncan's perspective, will soon be disloyal and dethrone him. This reminds me of those sketchy pink ginger thingies in sushi restaurants. They look so pretty and stunning before eating them, but once you eat them, they taste like your dad's sweaty sweatshirt, unpleasantly sweet and sour. What you see isn't always what you get. Boom! Paradox!
I'm DJ Lil Greedy Macbeth. Scottish play summary, y'all. At first, I was loyal to King Duncan. For King Duncan, me and my dude, Banco defeated the rebels. And we were strolling in the field and met three witches of triples. They said Banco's sons will be the future kings. Yup, and they told me that I'm finna be the king of Scotland. I am for my wife, Lady Macbeth, the prophecy of me becoming the king. And guess what? She said, I need to go for it by killing. My name is Macbeth, and my wife pressured me to kill Duncan. She wanted to bootleg dethrone Duncan, the king of Scotland, and make her happy the new king of this land. She was crazy for that crown, and to be at the top of the hierarchy. My boy King Duncan shall I dethrone this homie? I'm confused as hell, but I know I need to overthrow Duncan, because prophecy says so, and my wife said to be a man. So watch out, Dr. Duncan, I was hungry for the position, so here I come in the assassination, and the crown was placed on my head, but I ain't happy no more cause things turned out bad. Guilt, fear, the aftermath ramification, I didn't know this would put us in danger. Look at me, I'm killing more people to secure my power. I killed Macduff's family since witches told me to beware of him. I killed Banquo and tried to kill Fleance because my throne feels insecure. In England, Macduff and Malcolm may be gathering troops to seek for revenge. They be advancing towards my castle.